Amba wastich, dada nastada, tansi, oki nitsukwa. Bonjour tout le monde. Je suis très désolé que je ne peux pas être parmi vous ce soir magnifique, mais grand merci aux voix de la poésie, Poetry and Voice, pour m'inviter to partager des petites paroles. My name is Nahid Nenshi. I used to be the mayor of Calgary. Not anymore, but I can still say welcome to Calgary and welcome to the magnificent Calgary Public Library. I'm sorry that I can't be with you in person tonight, but I am so excited for you. 20,000 participants, and we have these 9 magnificent finalists here with us tonight. Thank you to everyone who's participated in the competition this year. Thank you to your coaches, your mentors, your parents, your teachers, everyone on whose shoulders you stand to be here with us today. Thank you to our extraordinary judges, incredible poets all, for giving their time, and for everybody at Poetry and Voice for being able to bring us together. You know, when I was mayor, I used to love spending the month of April encouraging poetry. I challenged every mayor across the country to have poetry read at their city and town council meetings. I read some myself. I shared great poems, classical and brand new, with the community. And I'm so thrilled that the culmination of this year's National Poetry Month is right here, right now, with all of you. Poetry matters. Poetry tells us who we are, and it tells us who we can aspire to be. And I hope that all of you have been enriched by this wonderful experience. Now, I cannot resist. We've heard these great recitations, but I need to tell you, I am a published poet. I did not say I was a good poet. I am not a good poet. But I thought, if you're all doing these wonderful recitations, I'm going to try too. So judges, let me know what you think. Some years ago, the Poet Laureate of Calgary, the then Poet Laureate of Calgary, Sherry D. Wilson, a magnificent poet in her own right, decided to do a project called YYC POP, which stands for Portraits of People. And she asked people across the city to write poems about other Calgarians, about people they knew. And if you know Sherry D. Wilson, you know she didn't so much ask me as command me to be part of this project. A friend of mine, Sherry, had recently passed. I was thinking about her a lot. She was a wild spirit. And I thought to honor her, I would actually go the opposite, and I would force myself to write in a very rigid format. So I tried to write a classical sonnet. 14 lines, iambic pentameter, a complicated rhyme scheme. I don't know how I did, but Sherry published it, and I'm going to share it with you now. This is Conspiracy. Come join us for coffee and chat. Small smile. I sip her dreams. Dream bigger, better, more. Milk and sugar and wit and warmth beguile me. All is possible. Open that door. I watch, amazed. Birds eat out of her hand. Everyone does, really. She draws us in. Neighbors come and go, meeting in this vast land, books given, books taken out for a spin. When darkness fell, as fall it always must, she shared our fear and doubt. But then she laughed. Life's messy. Get dirty, hands in the dust, laughed with her whole body. Special witchcraft. Be her monument, he said. It's all so clear. Rest easy, sweet one. We'll take it from here. Congratulations to everyone.
Good evening, everyone. Bonsoir tout le monde. Je m'appelle Liana Kuzmano. My name is Liana Kuzmano, and I'd like to welcome everyone to the 2023 Poetry and Voice National Finals. Bienvenue à la grande finale des voix de la poésie de 2023. Poetry and Voice is a bilingual organization, but of course there are many other older languages spoken on this land, and it can be challenging to have an authentic relationship with a place if you don't know what it's called, Mohkinstsis, or Calgary. I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional territories of the Treaty 7 signatories, which include the Siksika, Piikani, Kainai, Îyârhe Stoney Nakoda, and Tsuut'ina nations, as well as the Métis people of Alberta Region 3, who call Treaty 7 their home. Les Voix de la Poésie sont un organisme bilingue, mais ce territoire est aussi le lieu d'expression de nombreuses autres langues, dont plusieurs qui sont plus anciennes. Souvent, on aura une relation plus authentique avec un endroit si on est capable de le nommer, Mohkinstsis ou Calgary. Je tiens donc à souligner que nous nous trouvons sur le territoire visé par le traité numéro 7 des Premières Nations de Siksika, Piikani, Kainai, Îyârhe Stoney Nakoda et Tsuut'ina. Nous reconnaissons également la nation métisse de la région 3. Ce soir, nous allons écouter de la poésie classique et contemporaine en français et en anglais. Le concours comporte 3 sections de prix, une section française, une anglaise et une bilingue. Il y aura donc un lauréat ou une lauréate dans chacune des sections. Tonight we'll hear contemporary and classic poetry in English and French. There are 3 competition streams, English, French, and bilingual, and at the end of the evening we'll crown a champion in each stream. Poetry and Voice des Voix de la Poésie means a lot to me, not only because I'm the Director of Communications and because I work with teachers, students, and poets across the country every day, but also because I was a Poetry and Voice National Finalist back in 2012. This was back before ChatGPT and TikTok. Today I'm a poet and a spoken word artist. Before I wrote and performed my own poems, I learned and recited poems written by others on the Poetry and Voice stage. Les Voix de la Poésie m'ont offert une base sur laquelle j'ai pu développer mes propres compétences en tant que poète et interprète. So I'd like to take this opportunity to personally thank Scott and Christine Griffin, who are with us tonight, for founding this beautiful organization. Before we begin the contest proper, I'd like to tell you what we've been up to in Mohkinstsis, Calgary this week. As the students will tell you, we've had a very packed schedule. Grace of funding from the McCall-McBain and the Griffin Foundations, this year we started a new program called Futureverse, l'atelier de poésie vers l'avenir, a 4-day writing intensive with well-known authors, publishers, and activists. 16 young poets in high school were chosen to join us based on the brilliant poetry they submitted throughout this past year to our poetry journal, voix. Les participantes et participants de Vers l'avenir ont été sélectionnés pour leur talent et leur passion parmi des écrivains et écrivaines de tout le pays qui ont soumis de la poésie au journal étudiant Voix. Please welcome the 2023 Futureverse students to the stage. Je vous présente les participantes et participants de Vers l'avenir. Please hold your applause to the end as I introduce all of our Futureversers. Gray Mike from Inukshuk School, Iqaluit, Nunavut. Batul Ali from Harry Ainlay School, Edmonton, Alberta. Obiajulu Udemba from Walter Murray Collegiate, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. Tyler Rose Elizabeth Arden from East Glen School, Edmonton, Alberta. Ella Backrack from Smithers Secondary School, Smithers, BC. Manouane Arabelle Moissonneau-Aymon de l'École secondaire publique de La Salle, Ottawa, Ontario. Michaela Boulanger du Cégep de Sherbrooke, Québec. Sophie Cameron King de l'École secondaire publique de La Salle, Ottawa, Ontario. Jamie Ha from University Transition Program, Vancouver, BC. Sophie Lafrenière du Cégep de Lévis-Lauzon, Lévis, Québec. Akil Melchor from Westminster Secondary School, London, Ontario. Moineau Shin Binon from University of Toronto Schools, Toronto, Ontario. Justine Rory Ramos from Maples Met, Winnipeg, Manitoba. Vivian Sun from A.Y. Jackson Secondary School, North York, Ontario. Angelina Young from Crofton House School, Vancouver, BC. Et Lang Yu du Collège Jean-Eudes, Montréal, Québec. At the intermission, you can read their poetry up on the mezzanine behind you. For the next year, they'll be working with our team, Poets in Our Network, the League of Canadian Poets, ainsi que la revue Estuaire. Pour l'année qui suivra le programme, ces élèves se rencontreront avec des professionnels du domaine afin de poursuivre leurs échanges et de grandir en tant que poètes. We're confident that their poems will be recited in poetry and voice contests very soon. Future versers, you can go back to your seats. As I mentioned, our Future Versers have been working with members of our Poet Network over the last few days, including Caitlin Purcell. Caitlin Purcell is Denisuluine Irish and a member of Smith's Landing First Nation, Treaty 8 territory, which is headquartered at Fort Smith. Please welcome poet, scholar, and storyteller Caitlin Purcell to the stage. Caitlin.
Merci Joe for having me here today, and I'm just congrats to all the finalists and to all the young poets. It's just been wonderful, wonderful. This is called Fort Smith. Sits just above the border between Alberta and the Northwest Territories. Dene, Métis, Dog Rib, and the fur trade washed up on the Slave River, and some of the caribou eaters were sent here in the 60s. Canadian government whispered a strange lullaby, wanted their people all in one place and out of Alberta, burned down their homes so they couldn't turn back. A lullaby drowning in fiction. Instead of living off the land, they're living in a town with no running water and no paint on their houses and children pushed into residential schools. Poisoned families and generations of family buried in Alberta while the rest of them were laid to rest in the Northwest. Sundays spent with the Creator, and the church can still hear the whispering and whistles down in the crypt. Now the town is torn in whole and smells like buffalo hide. Merci, Joe.
Thank you, Caitlin. A few more of the poets and artists involved with this week are in the audience tonight. Bertrand Bickersteth, Wakefield Brewster, Tamara Leanne Cardinal, and Rita Wong. And of course, our poet judges have also been involved. Let's meet them now. Judging the English recitations tonight, Richard Harrison is a multiple award-winning poet, essayist, and editor. His On Not Losing My Father's Ashes in the Flood was awarded a 2017 Governor General's Literary Award for Poetry. Micheline Mailer is the past Poet Laureate of Calgary, 2016 to 2018, and her latest book is Little Wild Heart. Titilope Sonuga is a poet, performer, and playwright whose work has graced stages and pages across the globe. Je vous présente maintenant les trois poètes qui nous feront l'honneur de noter les récitations de la section française. Clémence Dumas-Côté est une autrice née à Montréal qui a publié 2 recueils de poésie et 1 roman, tous aux herbes rouges. Evelyne Gagnon est poète, essayiste et professeure de littérature à l'Université d'Athabasca, en Alberta. Et Rodney Saint-Éloi est un poète, écrivain, essayiste et éditeur né en Haïti. En 2003, il fonde à Montréal les éditions Mémoires d'Encrier, devenues la référence pour une littérature de la diversité. We'll begin with 2 rounds of the English stream, followed by 2 rounds in the French stream, and a brief intermission. After that, we'll hear the reciters in the bilingual stream, and then the final recitations in the English and French streams. On commence avec 2 tours de la section anglaise, 2 tours de la section française, puis l'entracte. Ensuite, on entendra la section bilingue, et on terminera avec les derniers tours de la section anglaise et française. Competing tonight in the English stream.
Everyone, my name is Olivia Bridgman from Lycée Français Toronto in Ontario.
Hi everyone, my name is Maya Cassie from Queen Margaret School in Duncan, BC.
Hello, I'm Maria Spindola from Bishop Carroll High School in Calgary, Alberta.
Reciters, it's time to go backstage and get ready. What you're doing is really very impressive. Not a lot of people, adults included, could get up in front of a crowd on a stage and recite poetry. Good luck to everyone.
English Prize Stream, Round 1. Olivia Bridgman, lycée français de Toronto, Toronto, Ontario.
Pride by Dane Swan. A half hour. 30 minutes. 1,800 seconds. ASAP. Protest is not supposed to be comfortable. Civil disobedience does not fit into pristine conformist ideals of opposition. You are supposed to feel something. Upset. Was your perfect day ruined? Good. That's the point.
Maya Cassie, Queen Margaret School, Duncan, British Columbia.
These poems, she said, Robert Bringhurst. These poems. These poems. These poems, she said, are poems with no love in them. These are the poems of a man who would leave his wife and child because they made noise in his study. These are the poems of a man who would murder his mother to claim the inheritance. These are the poems of a man like Plato, she said, meaning something I did not comprehend but which nevertheless offended me. These are the poems of a man who would rather sleep with himself than with women, she said. These are the poems of a man with eyes like a draw knife, with hands like a pickpocket's hands, woven of water and logic and hunger, with no strand of love in them. These poems are as heartless as birdsong, as unmeant as elm leaves, which if they love, love only the wide blue sky and the air and the idea of elm leaves. Self-love is an ending, she said. and not a beginning. Love means love of the thing sung, not of the song or the singing. These poems, she said. You are, he said, beautiful. That is not love, she said rightly.
Maria Espindola, Bishop Carroll High School, Calgary, Alberta.
How to tell if a poem is trans or not, by Charlie Petch. A helpful guide for slam poetry judges. Look directly at the crotch. Gently wave away all thoughts about how you never cared about crotches of poems before this poet. Consider the subject. Is it about love, loss, surgery, hesitation, breath, death threats, surgery, Does it rhyme? Look at the crotch again. Don't look up to see the poet looking at you, looking at their crotch. There's no need to involve them in this ruptured universe. Grasp for any gendered word. Is tree bark about being a man? Are they saying anything about blood or rib cages? Rib cages are a trans thing now? Stare at its chest. They're saying something inclusion now? Or was that foregone conclusion? Wait. Don't you have to score the poem? How can you score if you don't know? Oh, why did they write about a jack pine? It's all so unfamiliar. Just words like an apogee with no point of gender reference. They look trans. Why aren't they talking about that then? Talk about that then. Time's almost up. Their crotch is telling you nothing. Do you score them like a cis person? Maybe they're straight. Dear Lord, did you get it all wrong? How low a score can you give them if they might not be trans? They warned you about slam. Now, here you are, crotchmarized.
English Prize Stream, Round 2. Maya Cassie, Queen Margaret School, Duncan, British Columbia.
Regardless, Aisha Sasha John, if I am judged, if I'm punished, if I'm dismissed, if I am misunderstood, if I'm celebrated, if I'm envied, if I'm competed with, if I'm slandered against, if I'm seen, if I'm soft, if I'm stupid, if I get it, if I surpass, if I intimidate, if I confound, if I confuse, if I'm confused, if I impress, if I delight, if I contradict, if I embarrass, if I'm transparent, if I'm arrogant, if I reproach, if I lamb, if I snake, if I coconut, if I'm crazy, if I'm cuckoo, if I'm weary, if I resist, if I'm easy, if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, who gives a fuck? I have to live.
Maria Espindola, Bishop Carroll High School, Calgary, Alberta.
From Quit Dying to Die by Lauren Turner. When the doctors burrowed into my body, they unearthed a slew of tumors. Growths speckled across lungs and kidneys. Later, they would find the duo nestled into my cortex. A starry night, the ultrasound technician titled my organs. He said they looked calcified as an alcoholic's liver. Before the calcification was recognized as tumors, before those tumors were known as lympholeomyomatosis. Lamb. Surrounded by a velvety sea of blackness, organs are the gray vessels in MRI scans. Tumors show up as black pinpricks, and lamb-infested lungs fill up until they disappear beneath the waves. Transplants are useless. Darkness seeps into every new tissue. There doesn't need to be a crack in here. The body is intent on drowning itself. A sick body is an enchanted forest, overflowing its borders with civil war. Every beast becomes a circle because they're intent on devouring their own tails. Diseased cells cover the land with fresh, rotten foliage that snaps off sunlight at the jugular. It's a brutal cannibalization of the self.
Olivia Bridgman, lycée français de Toronto, Toronto, Ontario.
Thoughtless Cruelty by Charles Lamb. There! Robert, you've killed that fly. And should you, 1,000 ages try the life you've taken to supply, you could not do it. You surely must have been devoid of thought and sense to have destroyed a thing which no way you annoyed. You'll one day rue it. 'Twas but a fly, perhaps you'll say, that's born in April, dies in May. That does but just learn to display his wings 1 minute, and in the next is vanished quite. Or come a cold blast in the night, there's no breath in it. The bird but seeks his proper food in providence, whose power endued that fly with life when it thinks good, may justly take it. But you have no excuses for it. A life by nature made so short, less is reason that you, for sport, should shorter make it. The bird but seeks his proper food, and providence, whose power endued that fly with life when it thinks good, may justly take it. A fly, a little thing you rate, but Robert, do not estimate a creature's pain by small or great. The greatest being can have but fibers, nerves, and flesh, and these the smallest ones possess, although their frame and structureless escape our seeing.
End of the first 2 rounds of the English prize stream.
Well done, reciters. That was fantastic. Bravo. On commencera bientôt la section française, but first I'll tell you a bit about how our 9 finalists got here. First, they won their classroom contest by reciting 1 poem. Then they learned a 2nd poem to compete in their school contest. Hundreds of schools then submitted their individual champion to our online contest. From there, our students placed in their online qualifiers and then won the national online semifinals, which brought them all the way to this stage here tonight. Il a fallu plusieurs étapes et du travail acharné pour que nos finalistes accèdent à la grande finale. Our finalists are truly incredible. And so are many of their peers, who may have missed out by just a couple of points from being here tonight. That's why we also run in-person team regional contests, so that as many students can recite and as many young Canadians can hear them as possible. On organise également des concours régionaux pour des récitations en équipe à travers le pays. This year, we held in-person team regionals in Vancouver, Edmonton, Calgary, Winnipeg, Ottawa, Toronto, Essex County, Ontario, Montréal, la région de la Naudière, et la ville de Québec. And for the first time ever, we held a French team regional outside of the province of Quebec. Can anyone guess where that team regional was? We have 0 guesses. It was right here in Mohkinstsis, Calgary, Alberta. Pour la toute première fois, nous avons organisé un concours en équipe à l'extérieur de la province du Québec en français, ici à Calgary. To honor this year's team regional participants across the country, we've asked Emma Pervery, a member of the winning team from Lycée International de Calgary, to join us on stage to recite a poem. Pour rendre hommage à ceux qui ont participé au concours en équipe cette année, nous invitons Emma Pervery à réciter un poème. Emma est membre de l'équipe gagnante du Lycée International de Calgary et elle n'est qu'en 7e année, 7th grade.
Le labyrinthe de Paul Savoie. Il n'y a jamais de porte entre moi et l'ombre, jamais de séparation entre tant de pas. Je marche sans cesse vers chaque instant de pénombre. Je pense à toi qui, peut-être, n'existe pas. La fin de chaque souffle te recrée devant moi, chaque début de nuit ranime ta présence. Tes mains, dont chaque geste est son unique loi, la parole incessante créée dans la violence. Dans un regard perdu, il n'y a pas de grâce. Et je n'espère pas, je ne crois même plus qu'au bout d'un autre temps ou dans un autre espace, je verrai la frontière des instants révolus.
Merci beaucoup, Emma. J'invite maintenant les 3 concurrentes et concurrents qui s'affronteront pour obtenir le titre de champion ou championne de la section française de la grande finale.
Bonsoir tout le monde, je m'appelle Chloé Simard, j'étudie au collège Champlain à Saint-Lambert, Québec.
Bonsoir, je suis Arsène Guillemot et j'étudie à Collège français de Longueuil, à Longueuil, Québec.
Bonsoir à tous, je suis Hope Anaki de l'école Alexandre Taché, CENTRALE, ALBERTA.
Bonne chance à tout le monde, nous avons hâte d'écouter vos récitations. Vous pouvez maintenant retourner en arrière-scène. Nous assisterons maintenant à 2 tours de récitation et passerons ensuite à l'entracte. Après l'entracte, je présenterai les concurrents et concurrentes de la section bilingue, puis nous assisterons à un dernier tour de récitation de la section française et de la section anglaise. Tout le monde est prêt? Allons-y.
Premier tour de la section française. Chloé Simard, Collège régional Champlain de Saint-Lambert, Saint-Lambert, Québec.
Page d'écriture de Jacques Prévert. 2 et 2, 4, 4 et 4, 8, 8 et 8 font 16. Répétez, dit le maître. 2 et 2, 4, 4 et 4, 8, 8 et 8 font 16. Mais voilà l'oiseau lyre qui passe dans le ciel. L'enfant le voit, l'enfant l'entend, l'enfant l'appelle. Sauve-moi, joue avec moi, oiseau. Alors l'oiseau descend et joue avec l'enfant. 2 et 2, 4. Répétez, dit le maître. Et l'enfant joue. L'oiseau joue avec lui. 4 et 4, 8. 8 et 8 font 16. Et 16 et 16, qu'est-ce qu'ils font? Ils ne font rien, 16 et 16. Et surtout pas 32 de toute façon. Et ils s'en vont. Et l'enfant a caché l'oiseau dans son pupitre. Et tous les enfants entendent sa chanson. Et tous les enfants entendent la musique. Et 8 à leur tour s'en vont. Et 4 et 2 à leur tour fichent le camp. Et 1 ne font ni une ni deux. 1 à 1 s'en vont également. Et l'oiseau lyre joue. Et l'enfant chante. Et le professeur crie « Quand vous aurez fini de faire le pitre !» Mais tous les autres enfants écoutent la musique. Et les murs de la classe s'écroulent tranquillement. Et les vitres redeviennent sable. L'encre redevient eau. Les pupitres redeviennent arbres. La craie redevient falaise. Le porte-plume redevient oiseau.
Arsène Guillemot, Collège français secondaire Longueuil, Longueuil, Québec.
Il va neiger dans quelques jours de Francis Jam. Il va neiger dans quelques jours. Je me souviens de l'an dernier. Je me souviens de mes tristesses au coin du feu. Si l'on m'avait demandé « Qu'est-ce ?» j'aurais dit « Laissez-moi tranquille. Ce n'est rien. » J'ai bien réfléchi l'année avant dans ma chambre, pendant que la neige lourde tombait dehors. J'ai réfléchi pour rien. À présent, comme alors, je fume une pipe en bois avec un bout d'ambre. Ma vieille commode en chêne sent toujours bon. Mais moi, j'étais bête, parce que ces choses ne pouvaient pas changer, et que c'est une pose de vouloir chasser les choses que nous savons. Pourquoi donc pensons-nous et parlons-nous? C'est drôle, nos larmes et nos baisers, eux, ne parlent pas, et cependant nous les comprenons. Et les pas d'un ami sont plus doux que de douces paroles. On a baptisé les étoiles sans penser qu'elles n'avaient pas besoin de nom. Et les nombres qui prouvent que les belles comètes dans l'ombre passeront ne les forceront pas à passer. Et maintenant même, où sont mes vieilles tristesses de l'an dernier? À peine si je m'en souviens, je dirais « Laissez-moi tranquille. » Ce n'est rien si, dans ma chambre, on venait me demander « Qu'est-ce ?»
Hope Anaki, École Alexandre Taché, Saint-Albert, Alberta.
Ma mère me jongle de Patrice Desbiens. Je stationne mes Dinky Toys dans le hangar sous le lit. Et je m'assois à la table. Je mange comme un ange, les ailes en bavette sur les genoux. Ma mère me regarde. Ses yeux, en lunettes sur son nez. Ma mère me jongle. Elle me jongle entre le poêle à bois et la chaise berçante. Elle met un morceau de bois dans le poêle. Et elle me berce. C'est le mambo de la maman. Elle se répète, ma mère me jongle, ma mère me jungle. La maison fait le mambo avec ma maman. La petite maison rouge, en haut de la côte, côte à côte avec l'école Saint-Alphonse et tout autour, c'est Timmins qui tremble sous une nuée de neige. Elle n'est pas morte. Elle fait semblant. Il n'y a que la mort qui ne fait pas semblant. Il n'y a que les hommes pour la faire vivre. Ma mère dit, j'ai bien plus peur des vivants que des morts. Après, elle est morte. Elle n'est pas morte. Elle fait semblant. Viens dans mon Vietnam, elle dit, en brûlant dans son cercueil. Et en brûlant, elle vit. La vie continue.
Deuxième tour de la section française. Arsène Guillemot, Collège français secondaire Longueuil, Longueuil, Québec.
Maintenant, nous sommes assis de Marie Huguet. Maintenant, nous sommes assis à la grande terrasse où paraît le soir et les voix parlent un langage inconnu. De plus en plus s'efface la limite entre le ciel et la terre et surgissent du miroir de vigoureuses étoiles, calmes et filantes. Plus loin, un long mur blanc et sa corolle de fenêtres noires. Ton visage a la douceur de qui pense à autre chose. Ton front se pose sur mon front. Des portes claquent, des pas surgissent dans l'écho. Un sable léger court sur l'asphalte comme une légère fontaine suffocante. En cette heure tardive et gisante, les banlieues sont des braises d'orange. Tu ne finis pas tes phrases comme s'il fallait comprendre de l'œil la solitude du verbe. Tu es assis au bord du lit et parfois un grand éclair de chaleur découvre les toits et ton corps.
Anaki, École Alexandre Taché, Saint-Albert, Alberta.
Page d'écriture de Jacques Prévert. 2 et 2, 4. 4 et 4, 8. 8 et 8 font 16. Répétez, dit le maître. 2 et 2, 4. 4 et 4, 8. 8 et 8 font 16. Mais voilà l'oiseau lyre qui passe dans le ciel. L'enfant le voit, l'enfant l'entend, l'enfant l'appelle. Sauve-moi, joue avec moi, oiseau. Alors l'oiseau descend et joue avec l'enfant. 2 et 2, 4. Répétez, dit le maître. Et l'enfant joue. L'oiseau joue avec lui. 4 et 4, 8. 8 et 8 font 16. Et 16 et 16, qu'est-ce qu'ils font? Ils ne font rien 16 et 16. Et surtout pas 32 de toute façon. Et ils s'en vont. Et l'enfant a caché l'oiseau dans son pupitre. Et tous les enfants entendent sa chanson. Et tous les enfants entendent la musique. Et 8 à leur tour s'en vont. Et 4 et 2 à leur tour fichent le camp. Et 1 ne font ni une, ni deux. 1 à 1 s'en vont également. Et l'oiseau lyre joue. Et l'enfant chante. Et le professeur crie. Quand vous aurez fini de faire le pitre. Mais tous les autres enfants écoutent la musique. Et les murs de la classe s'écroulent tranquillement. Et les vitres deviennent sable. L'encre devient eau. Les pupitres deviennent arbres. La craie redevient falaise. Le porte-plume redevient oiseau.
Chloé Simard, Collège régional Champlain de Saint-Lambert, Saint-Lambert, Québec.
Avant que tout éclate en morceaux de Diane Léger. Avant que tout éclate en morceaux, j'aimerais écrire dans ta main un tout petit poème, du bout du doigt. Un tout petit poème plein de chaleur, de lait, de miel et de lumière. Un poème où tu voudras rester l'hiver. Avant que tout éclate en morceaux, vivre, écrire, regarder la rhubarbe monter en graines, la poussière recouvrir les meubles, faire le point, poursuivre, tout détruire pour tout recommencer. Parce que, rendu là où j'en suis, je n'aime plus tellement l'histoire anyway. Revenir échouer sur une plage loin de tout. Se demander pour la 1000e fois, jusqu'où peut-on aller trop loin?
Fin des 2 premiers tours de la section française.
C'est magnifique, bravo. Avant de passer à l'entracte, je vous encourage à jeter un coup d'œil au chevalet au niveau de la mezzanine derrière vous. Vous y trouverez plus d'informations sur celles qui ont participé à Vers l'avenir et vous pourrez lire leurs œuvres. As I mentioned earlier, you can take a look at the easels outside on the mezzanine behind you to learn more about our Futureversers and to read their work. When we come back in 15 minutes, our bilingual competitors will take to the stage. Merci à tous et à toutes. Bonsoir. Hello, welcome back. Can we get a round of applause for our wonderful musicians tonight, the Mount Stellar Band, everyone? And now it's time to meet our three competitors in the bilingual stream.
Hi, my name is Anton Negre. I'm from All Saints High School in Calgary, Alberta.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Maïté Turgeon et je viens du Collège Sainte-Anne d'Orval à Montréal, Québec.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Philippe Morissette et je viens du lycée français de Toronto, en Ontario.
Chance à vous trois, you can now go backstage and prepare. Chaque concurrente et concurrent de la section bilingue va maintenant réciter un poème en français et un poème en anglais. All right, here we go.
Premier tour de la section bilingue. Bilingual Prize Stream, Round 1. Aaron Saul Negra, All Saints High School, Calgary, Alberta.
Ô jeunes gens, de Victor Hugo. Ô jeunes gens, élus, fleurs du monde vivant, maîtres du mois d'avril et du soleil levant, n'écoutez pas ces gens qui disent « Soyez sages ». La sagesse est de fuir tous ces mornes visages. Soyez jeunes, gais, vifs, aimés, défiez-vous de tous ces conseils douceâtres et sinistres. Vous avez l'air joyeux, ce qui déplaît aux cuistres. Des cheveux en forêt, noirs, profonds, abondants, le teint frais, le pied sûr, l'œil clair, toutes vos dents. Ridés, épuisés, flétris, édentés, chauves, hideux, l'envie en deuil clignote dans leurs yeux fauves. Oh, comme je les haïs, ces solennels grégous. Ils composent avec leur fiel et leur dégoût. Une sagesse pleine et d'ennui et de gêne. Et, faite pour les vieux, osent l'offrir aux jeunes.
Maïté Turgeon, Collège Sainte-Anne secondaire de Dorval, Dorval, Québec.
Skeena Crossing by Sarah DeLeo. What is this? This crossing? In the photo, just in front of the train with the crane at the edge of the drop, off from track into river, stands a young man. Truss, truss, from left, truss, truss, from right. A bridge built middleward, inward. Bridge, 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 water, bridge, 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 bridge. Tracks on opposite shores of a river. Railway atop concrete and stone pillars. Bridge stretching toward a meeting of itself. In the center of the Skeena, where currents are strongest.
Philippe Morissette, lycée français de Toronto, Toronto, Ontario.
Tu es capable, de Louise Dupré. Tu es capable de tuer, même un être que tu aimes. On décide parfois de tuer ce qu'on aime. Ça s'est infiltré peu à peu dans ton cerveau. Il hurlait, ton chat. Il ne cessait pas de hurler. Et tu n'as plus voulu l'entendre. Tu n'en pouvais plus. Comme cette mère qui n'en pouvait plus d'entendre pleurer son enfant. Il a suffi d'appuyer un oreiller sur la petite bouche. Et puis plus rien. L'enfant qui se tait. Toi, tu as composé un numéro de téléphone. Tu es tombé sur la voix d'une femme et tu lui as répondu « oui ». Pourtant, il ne te viendrait pas à l'esprit d'écrire « je suis coupable ». Tu coïnciderais alors avec notre mort. Hurlement des nourrissons affamés. Hurlement des femmes pendant l'accouchement. Hurlement des prisonniers qu'on torture. Hurlements silencieux des épouses lapidées, des fillettes et des garçonnets qu'on viole. Hurlements des violeurs, des meurtriers. Derniers hurlements des assassinés que personne n'entend. Hurlements des déportés, des bombardés, des agneaux qu'on égorge. Hurlements des esclaves au fond des cales, des guerriers, des mourants au bout de la souffrance. Hurlements d'appel, de révolte, de désespoir. Hurlements de ton chat. Hurlement auquel tu n'as jamais répondu. Tu entends les hurlements retenus dans les entrailles de la terre chaque fois que tu poses les pieds sur le sol. Tu les entendrais même si tu en venais à tuer tous les vivants. Tu demandes chaque fois qu'on te délivre du mal. Mais quelle parole te sauverait de la détresse? Qui pourrait te tendre la main? Tu appartiens à une lignée si longue qu'elle ne se rappelle plus sur quel continent elle est née. Poissons, oiseaux, carnassiers, mammifères qui se sont peu à peu redressés pour apprendre à marcher. Peuple de chasseurs, de pilleurs et de criminels. Tu as sur les mains l'odeur millénaire du feu et du sang.
Deuxième tour de la section bilingue, Bilingual Prize Stream Round 2. Maïté Turgeon, Collège Sainte-Anne secondaire de Dorval, Dorval, Québec.
Le crapaud de Tristan Corbière. Un chant dans une nuit sans air. La lune plaque en métal clair. Les découpures du verre sombre. Un chant comme un écho tout vif. Enterré là sous le massif. Ça se tait. Viens, c'est là, dans l'ombre. Un crapaud! Pourquoi cette peur? Près de moi, ton soldat fidèle. Vois-le, poète tondu, sans aile, rossignol de la boue. Horreur! Il chante. Horreur! Horreur, pourquoi? Vois-tu pas son œil de lumière? Non, il s'en va, froid, sous sa pierre. Bonsoir. Ce crapaud-là, c'est moi.
Philippe Morissette, lycée français de Toronto, Toronto, Ontario.
I Am the People, the Mob, by Carl Sandburg. I am the people, the mob, the crowd, the mass. Do you know that all the great work of the world is done through me? I am the working man, the inventor, the maker of the world's food and clothes. I am the audience that witnesses history. The Napoleons come for me, and the Lincolns. They die. Then I send forth more Napoleons and Lincolns. I am the seed ground. I'm a prairie that will stand for much plowing. Terrible storms pass over me. I forget. The best of me is sucked out and wasted. I forget. Everything but death comes to me and makes me work and give up what I have, and I forget. Sometimes I growl, shake myself, and spatter a few red drops for history to remember. Then I forget. When I, the people, learn to remember, when I, the people, use the lessons of yesterday and no longer forget who robbed me last year, who played me for a fool, then there will be no speaker in all the world say the name, the people, with any fleck of a sneer in his voice or any far-off smile of derision. The mob, the crowd, the mass will arrive then.
Aaron Saul Negra, All Saints High School, Calgary, Alberta.
Illegalese, Floodgate Dub by Wade Compton. For the Chinese Maroons, British Columbia, 1999 to 2001. If you arrive in the belly of a rusting imagination, there are grounds to outlaw you. But Canada is a remix B-side chorus in the globalization loop. A sample track of back home desiring, old days admiring, democracy dreaming, racism reaping, homesickness that even Medicare can't cure. There is no fresh off the boat or the plane or the hope of consistency in foreign and foreigner policy or obduracy of floodgate metaphors and death sentence deportations. The backbeat backbone of the chorus that screeches back home is the drum and bass treble track alliteration of Kama, Kama, Kama Gatamaru. And the stowaway that the border refused will be the headstone of the corner. When the destination is a nation that prides itself as peace, keeping but is still sleeping on the justice and compassion lacking in that back home. Back home. Back home, when jurisdiction cuts the earth to the bone, the proper diction is the unspoken issue, and the flesh of the people's color in the votes, in the hull, in the belly of a dream without papers or definition, in quotations, refuge. E. A pen stroke from relief, languishing in the languaged exile of illegalese. And if it was heroic for runaway slaves to seep into Canada, why is it vilifiable for Chinese migrants to hide in the belly of a dream now? And when you want to draw the line or put your foot down or formulate, enough is enough is enough is enough! What color is enough? What language does it speak? And isn't that the real issue written between the bordered lines, the bartered lives in this semantic peanut and shell game? In barricaded comfort, behind armchair palisades, wielding remote control diplomacy like a wand, we cultivate our cathode curtain without detente. With children lullabied by Filipino nannies, industry is carving up the melon of our Lotus Coast and floodgates, they say. Have said and ever shall say. But people are not a flood. Borders are not God-given. Lives are not dollars. And Canada is not the sum of its exclusions.
Fin des 2 tours de la section bilingue. End of the 2 rounds of the Bilingual Prize Stream.
C'est vraiment très spécial d'entendre des jeunes de partout au Canada réciter de la poésie en français et en anglais. On reprend avec les sections françaises et anglaises. It's time to go back to the French and English streams. 6 more recitations, and then we will announce the names of the 2023 champions.
Troisième tour de la section française. Hope Anaki, École Alexandre Taché, Saint-Albert, Alberta.
Vivre de Ko-un. Nous qui n'avons rien, il nous faut regarder les feuilles qui tombent dans l'air immobile. Il nous faut regarder aussi les feuilles que le vent éparpille. Nous qui ne connaissons rien, nous ne pouvons quitter des yeux le mouvement des eaux qui viennent et se retirent. Jeunes femmes, nous qui vivons ici, pouvons-nous dire ce que nous possédons et ce que nous savons? Voici des feuilles qui tombent, des eaux qui viennent et se retirent.
Chloé Simard, Collège Champlain de Saint-Lambert, Saint-Lambert, Québec.
C'est la guerre de Louis-Philippe Hébert. C'est la guerre. C'est très excitant. La terre s'ouvre, on peut voir dedans. On peut voir ce qui se passe derrière les portes closes. L'âme qui loge dans le ventre, la cuisine dans les logements, les latrines qui explosent derrière les baraquements. On aperçoit des choses dans le ciel, des choses rondes et lumineuses qu'on n'avait jamais vues auparavant. Ça laisse des traces, longtemps. Ça éclate. On dirait des applaudissements qui jaillissent autour de nous, derrière nous. Ça surprend. On comprend que tout n'est que mouvement. On le sent. Sur la peau, sur tout le corps, sur les tympans. Dans les narines aussi, une odeur de sang qui nous fait penser à ce qui se passe à l'intérieur de nous, à cette espèce d'entortillement de tripes, de foie, d'estomac, de cœur avec ses veines et ses artères, même de pancréas. C'est la guerre dehors, comme en dedans. C'est la guerre. Maintenant, les prières ne sont plus exaucées. Dorénavant, attachez-moi les mains, videz-moi le ventre, coupez-moi la tête si vous voulez. Qu'on le réveille, celui-là. Que celui qui a le plus long sable lui tranche la gorge.
Coupe le coup, coupe. Maintenant.
Arsène Guillemot, Collège français secondaire Longueuil, Longueuil, Québec.
Fin de Gérald Godin. Il manquait quelque chose dans le miroir. Peut-être les tentures bleues du salon. Peut-être un père, peut-être le crucifix. M'enfouir, chercher. La tête dans ce tas de feuilles pourries, chercher une odeur. L'automne comme on ne l'a jamais vu. Un visage reconnu que l'on croyait oublié. Lire dans les complications du tapis, les écailles du mur, un conte, une vie d'homme mort. N'en rien dire, de peur d'être injuste, n'en rien même penser. Lire et relire, mais toujours, hélas, à peine. J'ai peur de partir d'ici. Cette peau qui meurt au bout de mes doigts près des ongles, cette peau morte qui tombe, ces plaques jaunes aux chevilles, nous vivons si peu. Il faudrait aller tellement loin. Et le temps qui nous manque. Et le cœur.
Fin du dernier tour de la section française. English Prize Stream, Round 3. Maria Espindola, Bishop Carroll High School, Calgary, Alberta.
Paper People by Harry Baker. I like people. I'd like some paper people. They'd be purple paper people. Maybe pop-up purple paper people. Proper pop-up purple paper people. How do you prop up pop-up purple paper people? I hear you cry. Well, I'd probably prop up proper pop-up purple paper people with a proper pop-up purple people paper clip, but I pre-prepare appropriate adhesives as alternatives, just in case the paper slipped. Because I could build a pop-up metropolis, but I wouldn't want to deal with all the paper people politics, paper politicians with their paper-thin policies, broken promises without appropriate apologies. There'd be a little paper me and a little paper you. And we could watch paper TV and it would all be pay-per-view. We'd see the poppy paper rappers rap about their paper package or watch paper people carriers get stuck in paper traffic on the A4. Paper. There'd be a paper Princess Kate, but we'd all stare at paper Pippa. And then we'd all live in fear of Killer Jack, the paper ripper. Because the paper propaganda propagates the people's prejudices. Papers printing pictures of the photogenic terrorists. A little paper me and a little paper you. And in a pop-up population, people's problems pop up too. There'd be a pompous paper parliament who remained out of touch and who ignored the people's protests about all the paper cuts. Then the peaceful paper protests would get blown to paper pieces by the confetti cannons manned by preemptive police. And yes, there'd still be paper money. So there'd still be paper greed. And the paper piggy bankers pocketing more than they need, purchasing the potpourri to pepper their paper properties. Others live in poverty and ain't acknowledged properly. A proper poor economy where so many are proper poor. But while their needs are ignored, the money goes to big wars. Origami armies unfold plans for paper planes. And we remain in prison in our own paper chains. But the greater shame is that it always seems to stay the same. What changes is who's in power, choosing how to lay the blame. They're naming names, forgetting that these are names of people. Because in the end, it all comes down to people. I like people. Because even when the situation's dire, it is only ever people who are able to inspire, and on paper, it's hard to see how we all cope, but in the bottom of Pandora's box, there's still hope, and I still hope. Because I believe in people. People like my grandparents, who every single day since I was born have taken time out of their morning to pray for me. That's 7,892 days straight of someone checking, I'm okay. And that's amazing. People like my aunt who puts on plays with prisoners, people who are capable of genuine forgiveness, people like the persecuted Palestinians, people who go out of their way to make your life better and expect nothing in return. You see, people have potential to be powerful. Just because the people in power tend to pretend to be victims, we don't need to succumb to that system, and a paper population is no different. There's a little paper me and a little paper you. And in a pop-up population, people's problems pop up too. But even if the whole world fell apart, then we'd still make it through. Because we're people.
Olivia Bridgman, lycée français de Toronto, Toronto, Ontario.
How to Triumph Like a Girl by Ada Limon. I like lady horses best. How they make it all look easy. Like running 40 miles per hour is as fun as taking a nap. Or grass. I like their lady horse swagger after winning. Ears up, girls. Ears up. But mainly, let's be honest, I like that they're ladies. As if this big, dangerous animal is also a part of me. That somewhere inside the delicate skin of my body, there pumps an 8-pound female horse heart, giant with power, heavy with blood. Don't you want to believe it? Don't you want to lift my shirt and see the huge, beating genius machine that thinks? No. It knows it's going to come in first.
Maya Cassie, Queen Margaret School, Duncan, British Columbia.
The Ghosts of Women Once Girls, Asia Monet. Somewhere, a little girl is reading aloud in the middle of a dirt road. She smiles at the sound of her own voice escaping the spine of a book. She feeds on her hunger to know herself. She has not yet been taught to dim. She sits with the stars beneath her feet, a constellation of things to come. As if a swallowed moon, she glimmers. Her head wrap rolls out in a gutter, bare feet scat the earth. The ghosts of women, once girls, make a bridge of the dust dancing behind her. She decorates the ground in dimples. She stomps suffering out the spirit hooves, drumming the earth in circles. She holds gladness in her mouth like a secret, teased out of a giggle. Joy like her sadness overflows. She is not the opinions of others. She is of visions and imagination. Somewhere, a little girl is reading aloud in the middle of a dirt road. She smiles at the sound of her own voice escaping the spine of a book. She is a room full of listening, lending herself to her own words. Somewhere, a deep remembering of what was. She survives all.
End of the 3 rounds of the English prize stream.
Et voilà, on vient de voir la poésie contemporaine du Canada côtoyer la poésie classique. Very soon the scores will be tabulated and we'll know who our 2023 English, French, and bilingual champions are. This will be the first time since 2019 that we've been able to present the trophies on stage. And although, like all organizations, we tried our best to maintain all of our programming during the COVID-19 pandemic, the whole team at Poetry and Voice deeply regrets that the 2020, 2021, and 2022 finalists couldn't join us for a fantastic week of events like this week's finalists and Futureversers have. So much was lost during the pandemic, and it impacted us and continues to impact us, all of us, in many different ways. Pour souligner les opportunités qu'ont manqué les élèves à travers le pays, nous invitons la gagnante de la section anglaise de 2022 sur scène. In recognition of all the missed opportunities for our students over the last 3 years, we'd like to invite our 2022 English Stream champion, Stephanie Omoratsiomwa from All Saints High School here in Calgary, to the stage to recite a poem.
Glass Hands, a eulogy on the anniversary of the pandemic. L. Jones. Hands pressed to glass on the fence across the long-term care home. Families leave memorials for Auntie, Kokum, Baba. Ink runs in the rain and half-mast flags, a table set with no guests to ask, like bells ringing in the classrooms calling eternal recess. Bless those who grieve, unable to leave kisses on foreheads. Bless the nurses as they move from bed to bed. We've scrubbed our hands until they cracked and bled. We read page after page of death announcements in newspapers. Our elders, repositories of wisdom, went first, and then the rest of us. Living and dying through this curse, coughs in lungs and final gasps. Some days feel like we are the last on earth. Too fast, we say, too fast. We didn't even have goodbye. And the wind blows over the winter grass. My mother's mantra, this too shall pass. Ours is not a funeral mass. We learn to mourn on Zoom, Christmas spent in empty rooms. We'll meet when the pandemic is through. But month after month, and still the cases rise. In gloom, loneliness intensifies. I no longer know your face behind the mask, so I learned to know your eyes. But it's not enough. We try to bring to mind our last conversation. Amid the devastation, we find hidden seams of human kindness. Bless the grocery bringers to quarantine, the minimum wage laborers who clean, the developers of the vaccine, the bus drivers and hospital workers at hour 16 of their shift. Bless those who believe they will not be missed. It's the vulnerable ones most likely to be left unseen. This is a lesson for we who too long have turned our heads at inequality, believed in austerity. Now we understand the severity of policies that leave too many behind. Oh, now we have learned to cry together. Let us forever remember those who cannot come in from the cold. We should never again allow the deaths in shelters and cell blocks at home alone. No, let us make a promise in the now for the future beyond this. May we never again value people less than profits. Let us speak our love before the coffins. Let us pause, not seldom, but often. Let our hearts soften. May we let us visit those in isolation. Let clean water flow from the taps of the First Nations. We can relearn how to care for each other. We can relearn how to share with each other. Let us honor the dead by committing to the living. Let us honor the dead by committing to giving. We are not broken, though we are diminished. We still have time, and this is not the finish. There's faith and hope, and it's within us.
Thank you, Stephanie. It's been amazing to hear such powerful words by so many contemporary Canadian poets tonight. Tabulators, do we have the results? Great. Grayson, everyone. Pour la remise des prix, to present the trophies to our finalists, I'd like to invite Joanne Blais to the stage. Joanne is our backstage announcer, former CBC personality, membre du conseil d'administration des voix de la poésie, and host of several national finals over the years. She gives very good advice. Could our 3 bilingual finalists please come forward? On demande à nos 3 concurrentes et concurrents de la section bilingue de monter sur scène. In 3rd place, can we get a drum roll, please? Maïté Turgeon du Collège Sainte-Anne secondaire de Dorval, Québec. En 2e position, Philippe Morissette du lycée français de Toronto. Et le grand prix de récitation bilingue est décerné à Aaron Saul Negra from All Saints High School. Bravo, bravo à vous 3. Et maintenant, je vais demander à nos 3 finalistes de la section française de s'avancer. Dans la section française, le 3e prix est décerné à Arsène Guillemot du Collège français secondaire Longueuil. En 2e position, Chloé Simard du Collège Champlain-Saint-Lambert. Et le grand prix de récitation de la section française est décerné à Hope Anaki de l'école Alexandre Taché. Félicitations, bravo. Finally, I'd like our 3 English prize stream finalists to come forward. In 3rd place for the English prize stream, Olivia Bridgman from Lycée Français de Toronto. In 2nd place for the English prize stream, Maria Espindola from Bishop Carroll High School, Calgary, Alberta. And the first prize in the English prize stream goes to Maya Cassie from Queen Margaret School, Duncan, BC. Bravo. Well done. You should all be very proud of yourselves. Merci, Joanne. Let's have one more round of applause for these students and for their teachers. Keeping poetry in the air from coast to coast to coast. Step forward, all of you. I wasn't sure if I made myself clear. Pour clore cette soirée inoubliable, j'invite maintenant le fondateur et la fondatrice de Poetry and Voice, les voix de la poésie, Scott et Christine Griffin, à nous rejoindre sur la scène.
Bonsoir tout le monde. Good evening, everyone. Well, I wish to give unqualified congratulations to all the student reciters this evening. It's really been impressive. And as Leanna said, they were participating in what adults would put the fear of God into adults. And if there is an adult that doesn't believe that and would like to come up and recite, now is the time. Well, that's what I thought. It's been really wonderful. And I'd like to thank the judges, the teachers, the staff, the MC, the band, and all those who have contributed to the last 2 days of this tremendous last 2 days of this event. It's been really special. And just a word about Future Verse. We listened to their recitations at lunch today, and they were great as well. And I really think it's a tremendous new development. I would like to think that both Future Verse and the contestants on stage here will in the future become ambassadors for poetry. Because we have lots of Canadian poets who are writing good poetry, but we have few people buying poetry books, fewer people reading poetry, and almost none reciting it. And so I hope that all of you will become the ambassadors for poetry in the future. And writers need an audience. And so please take that responsibility on seriously. And now I would like to ask Christine to say a few words en français.
En polonais. Wow. J'ai toujours du mal à suivre mon mari parce que c'est lui vraiment qui est le poète, qui a eu la vision d'introduire la poésie dans les classes, pas seulement avec les poètes déjà publiés, mais de commencer au début. Donc, je me joins à lui pour remercier premièrement les étudiants, leurs professeurs, les juges, notre grande et merveilleuse équipe des voix de la poésie. Et c'est quand même une soirée très spéciale, n'est-ce pas? La poésie, qui est la voix de notre cœur et de notre âme, qui a été, n'est-ce pas, qui nous a été traduite par l'interprétation et les récitations des poèmes de ces jeunes étudiants, restera avec nous comme un souvenir inoubliable. En plus, je dois dire que cet édifice est vraiment très, très beau. C'est notre première visite dans cette librairie de Calgary et on s'en souviendra longtemps. Je vous remercie.
I now have to follow Scott and Christine Griffin. Thanks to everyone for joining us for the 2023 Poetry and Voice Finals. Merci tout le monde d'avoir été des noms pour la grande finale des Voix de la Poésie de 2023. My name is Liana Kuzmano. It was a pleasure to be your host this evening. On se retrouve l'année prochaine à Ottawa, en Ontario. Bonne soirée. Good night.
Thank you.